Hey, how's everyone doing out there? This is Joe Menza with another watercolor painting video. And for starters here, we're using 10 by 14 Stonehenge. And we're going to kind of limit the colors to maybe just 4 here. I will list them in the description. Now, of course, once again, my laziness, I'm just spraying. Actually, not necessarily lazy. I have a cup of water sitting on my desk, and that part I've been too lazy to dump it out and clean out the cup, so I've been kind of going to the spray bottle quite a bit. And just spraying so I know I get clean water on the paper. Most of the time when you have a cup of water next to you or a pot of water, that water gets dirty pretty fast. So it's good to have a nice big spray bottle next to you. So for starters, we're going to use some yellow ochre here. You can use raw sienna. They're both good starter wash colors for almost any landscape painting. It's kind of like how should I say, a joiner of the colors. It just lays something down on the paper to kind of stick to. So now I'm coming in with a little bit of a gray, a little bit of ultramarine blue. I'm just going to darken around the sides just to sort of pull you in more in the center of the painting. Just to get a little something darker around the edges. So I'm coming in with ultramarine blue, and I haven't cleaned the brush yet, but I've just added some ultramarine blue to this and just tapping in some clouds. And I just gave it a little spray with the spray bottle. And just tapping away a little bit of paint. It'll still probably run together a little bit. I sprayed because I want to kind of open up that center a little bit. It's nice to have the spray bottle because you can paint without worry, and then if you say, I want a little bit of light from over here, you give it a little shot with the spray bottle, and it just opens that up for you. So again, I'm coming in with the ultramarine blue. I'm just going to throw some on the bottom. Not sure where I'm going yet with this. So a lot of these I do from my imagination, and on my Patreon page that I just started, I'm going to be going into some more detail on a lot of the stuff that I do. And most of what I do is from my imagination. And I'll try to break down how if you come over there and you watch the videos and there's going to be tips and tricks and things, I'll go into more in depth and maybe being more the utilization of your imagination and sort of painting as you go along. It's all part of the fast and loose, free way of painting. Of course, as you go, there's going to be times you're going to want to sketch things out and kind of pre-plan, which is always the best way to go. But if you're into this fast and loose, big brush, and you just want to have a go at it, then you paint from your imagination and you use what you know, and you go from there. So I'll be going through a little bit more of that and how in your mind you can break down different elements. So for this, I'm coming in with the Frank Clark goat hair brush, and I'm just kind of blending a little bit. The colors are a little bit strong or harsh, or you've got some white areas that you've lifted out. You can do some blending, and you have to have a gentle touch with it. And you have to do it while, of course, the paint is still wet. And if you use a brush that's too sharp, too coarse for blending, you will see smears. And if you wait for it to dry too long, you'll see smears. Now here I'm coming in with still yellow ochre on the brush, and we got maybe a little bit of ultramarine blue. So we've got sort of a shade of green here. And this will just kind of frame out a little bit of a distant mountain. And coming in with some straight up cad yellow hue. And sometimes I use an artist grade cad yellow hue if I really want it to stand out. It's a little more expensive and I save it for just that occasion. And again, on my Patreon, I'll go in even more depth on paints that I use and behind the scenes type stuff. So now I'm taking the fan brush. I'm just creating some little pines here. So I thought that it would look good with some pines there, and made a couple, and I just thought I'd keep going to the edge of the paper, because why not? And add a little cad yellow. Again, we're working with Payne's gray, ultramarine blue, cad yellow hue, yellow ochre, and those are really our main colors here. Sometimes you'll find that your best paintings that you have are paintings where you've only used maybe 4 or 5 colors. Sometimes when you try to go all out and you use, 7, 8, 10 colors or whatever, it really shows in the painting like there's no cohesion. Now this little mountain that I made in the background, it's starting to get a little lost and it's a little too small. So I'm just going to come back in and just make it a little bigger. Payne's gray, ultramarine blue. There's probably still a tad bit of yellow on the brush. I'm just going to work that in a little bit with the fan brush. Now, I don't want you to think I'm going to neglect my YouTube channel. I'm going to keep up the same amount of videos, but I want to go, and this was my whole thing about doing Patreon. I didn't really want to do it unless I was going to really get more in depth, and it's going to take a little time to do that, of course. But for those who are really serious and they really want to, pick up a few things, I think it's the best way I can take my own time and really, get that across. And I'm going to do some little pines here over on the side, because again, why not? And we'll have that little shadow coming over the mountainside and sort of connecting with the trees. Sometimes it's nice when everything connects together. Just taking my finger. You can use a little tissue if you want to, but I'm just kind of rubbing it in a little bit and just creating a little dimension on that mountain. Lifting with my finger so it doesn't look like all one solid color. And there I don't know where I was going with that, but I'm just going to kind of blend it in a little bit. Blend it back into that hill so it looks like it goes across. Now sometimes I'm not sure what I'm going to do in the foreground and I have a little paint left on my brush and I know I don't really know what I'm going to do in the foreground, and I'll just kind of wipe off some of that excess paint. And then it sort of gives me an idea what to build on. Now, you'll notice we've got a little stream going through the middle. And I'm keeping that open because I want to keep that nice and light. And it sort of mirrors the sky. And with that, you get two similar shapes that pull you down to the center, and the focal point being kind of that mountain in the back. So just giving it a little spray. Fun little lunchtime painting here. I'm hoping when it gets a little nicer out, and when we're not all afraid to go outside, we'll be doing some plein air painting, and those will probably be over on the Patreon page, but I'll be going out and trying to do stuff on site. I've got a nice, good-sized river that runs through our state, and it really provides a lot of good scenery in the summertime. And good hiking, too. I need to get out and walk a little bit more. I don't know if you guys are anything like me, but I know I've put on at least, I don't know, I'm afraid to say it, but I don't know, at least 6-7 pounds during this whole lockdown situation. So I'm just taking the Hake brush here and I'm just creating some points, just kind of tidying things up a little bit. If you look in the back and you look at that mountain now, it really looks like it's far back there. It looks faded, and it will dry back a little bit more. In these paintings, there's a certain balance that you try to achieve that you still want to look natural. That being the colors such as you have your yellow ochre, cad yellow hue, and then I also have raw sienna. So I have 3 yellows on my palette. And it creates a nice variety. Sometimes I'll just mix them together to come up with a unique yellow. And I do have a new palette. It has a lot of colors on it. It's got at least 12 to 15 colors on there. And I like it, but the problem is with it, it's almost, there's too many colors on it because I find myself kind of jumping around, and the limiting of your colors is really better, especially if you're just starting out. So I'm creating some land masses down below here just to frame out that stream. I'm going to keep that stream as bright as I possibly can. A lot of times when you make like an open area with white, you'll find it starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So make it bigger and then go smaller as you go. So if this is your first video with me, you just found me on YouTube, I appreciate you watching, and go ahead and subscribe. I started painting a few years ago after I got a painting kit for Christmas, believe it or not. It was oil-based. And at the time, I decided I really liked it. It was fantastic for anxiety and, you know, just to kind of get you focused. And, you know, I've had a lot of hobbies in the past. I never had something that I'd stuck with quite this long where I wanted to get better and better at it. It's just really enjoyable. And I made these videos because I wanted other people to come along and say, hey, I can do this, and encourage people. It looks like fun, and, you know, it provides some stress relief. But as time went on, I found people were really liking it. So I've got stacks and stacks of paintings here. And if you're buying watercolor or art materials. You know they're expensive. A block of this Stonehenge goes for around $25 for like 15 sheets. So you're paying, more than $1 per sheet. And the tubes of paint go anywhere from $5 to $10 if you're using, decent paint. Brushes, really, once you buy 3 or 4 good brushes, it lasts you for a long time. The brushes are like the least expensive. You don't need the top of the line brushes either. When you're buying, you don't need to buy a $60 brush. These Hake or Hake brushes, they're very inexpensive. You can get them anywhere from $10 to $20 for one brush, and they might be a lot to some people, but you can buy a discount brush. They're not as good, but you can still do it. I'll do some videos with other brushes. It's just at first starting out, you need a good brush for that, but it'll last you a long time. I believe Ron Ranson, he had the same brush for at least 10 years. He's another artist, if you haven't heard of him. We have a painting group on Facebook. You can come there, learn more tips and tricks there. I'm there. I'm one of the moderators there, admin there. It's created by Matthew Clemens. After Ron Ranson had passed away, a lot of people were discovering his work and wanted to do something really to honor and remember his memory as to what a great artist and teacher he was. And his style was fast and loose and big brush. And so we're all building on that and keeping it alive. And, we're the next generation, so to speak. So I'm taking a little tissue here and I'm just kind of rubbing it across just to sort of dirty up a little bit, I guess. I would say one side of the water, just to give it just a touch of color. And it also helps pull out a little dirt from some of the colors. Well, hey, that's it. We're done already. And here's a little close-up of the painting. And you can see the various little points there that were done. I hope you enjoyed this painting. If you have any questions, post them down below. Check out my Patreon. Check out Joe Menza Art or joemenza.com. Visit my eBay shop. Thank you for your support. Thank you for over 6,000 subscribers. And here it is in a virtual frame as we zoom in and we sign out until the next painting. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.